Apparently, Biden has new sanctions that are going to be targeting these Russian banks and companies and imports if Ukraine is attacked. You can do all this economic warfare kind of stuff, but the biggest thing would have been the Nord Stream 2. That would have been Nord Stream 2. The State Department keeps going out there saying that we predict this invasion, and Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, was saying, I think I know a little bit better than the president of the United States. I'm over here. And considering we don't have an ambassador over there, I think that makes great sense. But this idea that now Biden's considering, well, maybe we'll consider, if they do invade Ukraine, and the State Department says that it shows every indication of that happening by mid-February, then the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, well, now it won't move forward again. What? The energy industry is even slamming Biden's oil and gas crackdown. I was reading this piece from the Washington Times. They criticized him. All these different energy, which they're not, what is it? There's like so many. I don't want to go through the list. There's a ton of them. Whether they're in gas, whether they're in oil, whatever. They're criticizing API, for instance, saying that we have major cost concerns. Everything that this policy, the Build Back Better, it's going to drive soaring energy prices. They're going up because we're in the middle of a cold winter. There have been restrictions on supply as a consequence because of these policy decisions. That's what they're acknowledging. And so you can't have Russia invade Ukraine and then say you're going to slap sanctions on them. What does that do? They've already invaded. How is that a deterrence? The best thing now would be to do it now. Have them go in, have them impose sanctions. That way, make it difficult for Nord Stream 2 to finish completion so that there is no way to remove Ukraine as this transit country. And yes, considering the billions of dollars that we spent for rebuilding, considering the number of troops that we have to keep over there, considering that the United States is basically NATO and some of these countries can't even pay barely the 2% required for membership, absolutely the United States has a say in what someone else does, especially when the United States is always the one called upon to go and dig someone out of the hole. For all the people saying, well, why does the United States get to? Because the United States is in some aspects still bearing cost. That's why. So, with this pipeline, it would be great if the administration said, you know what, we're going to get real serious about this. Because you can't have honestly, I don't see how you can have sanctions and try to stop cheap Russian dirty gas without easing back on some of the restrictions that have reduced our exports here domestically. We were the net exporter. Policies in this administration changed that. That's why Biden had to go hat in hand begging OPEC to produce more crude. And OPEC, they all laughed. He actually was asking them, begging them to produce more. They laughed, didn't produce more, and then increased price. So this is all, if he was serious about this, the first thing that he would do is ease back on the restrictions and make sure that we were able to be a net exporter again, so that the only options ever for these countries weren't just Saudi Arabia or Russia. You can't just rely on OPEC or Russia. Let's have something else. That would be great. Go back to being a net exporter. You can't just slap sanctions on, because you know what he did? I said this last week. He went to Qatar, asking them for gas. For Europe. I'm like, why is Biden asking Qatar? Why can't Europe, first off, why can't Europe figure out their own business, number one? Number two, why is Biden asking Qatar? We have the ability to do it. We could do it. But we have to satiate the fantasy of the greenies who don't understand how earth and dirt and sun work. And so they pretend to be good stewards of the planet while literally putting everything on policies that increase pollution in places like China and India, and pretend that it doesn't happen here. By the way, that is such a bigoted class warfare action. I think that, sidebar to this, because we were talking about electric vehicles earlier. Every time I hear some lefties sit here and push electric vehicles on people, I'm like, that is some class warfare BS. Because it's always some white progressive. Always some white progressive, white Marxist out there pushing electric vehicles. Where are you outsourcing your pollution to? India, China, Where are you getting your cobalt and your lithium and all those rare earth elements? Oh, you're having people hand mine them in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Other African nations too. You're enriching China, who has zero environmental protections. So because the pollution is happening where you can't see it, you think that you're being green. It's adorable and stupid and reckless. You think that you're actually doing good things for people because you can't see the kids in DRC hand mining your cobalt for your battery. But you're being green and you're doing a good service to the planet. It is class warfare. You're pushing people to pollute more, and you're I mean, honestly, no worker protections. You got kids there's a whole Time magazine, Associated Press thing. There was a big expose that was on this just like not even 2 years ago. But yet you're pretending that you're greener because it's as long as you can't see the pollution, you can pretend that you're green while lording over everybody else. There's a difference between being a good steward of the environment and being an environmental moron. Now, if you want, and we talked about this, if you want to own an electric vehicle because you think they're cool and you are completely realistic about everything that goes into making them, I don't care. That's not the issue. The issue is the people who pretend that they're being greener.